Good evening, and welcome to Hanging with the Walkers. Here with my host and co host, Rogers Walker.
Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Greetings.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hanging with the Walkers. So excited that, first of all, that my host and co host is in the house with me. He's not on the road, he is safe, and I can reach out and touch him and say, yes, he is in the house. So I welcome
Yeah.
and enjoy being and hanging with my host and co host, Rogers Walker. I'm so excited to be in the house with this awesome woman of God on tonight. Um, Met her a little while ago, admired her from afar, hanging out at the Lee Pitts Live after work. I remember her uh, busting in the house with this black and white outfit on and the bangles hanging from a cowboy hat. And I'm like, yeah, that's class and everything that goes along with it. So,
Thank
so
you.
everyone,
Thank you.
everyone, please help us welcome Miss Monika Jackson to Hanging with the Walkers. Oh my goodness.
It's
And
been
I
a
am
long time.
It is. It is. I am saying it right. Monica, right?
It's
Or Monica?
Monica.
Monica.
It's Monica.
Okay, Monica. Welcome, Miss Monica, to Hanging with the Walkers. And we're just going to jump right in because I want to make sure that I get everything that the Lord has led us to share with and about you. Please tell us a little about Monica Jackson, and who you are.
Well, um, who I am, that's a broad question, right? It's
Yes,
just
it
to
is.
say I'm full of all kinds of things, but most importantly, I'm filled with love, right? And I pray that every time that I walk out the door, that when people come into contact with me, that they're able to feel the love of God and God's presence in their lives. Um, One thing that I hold near and dear to me is family. And so I have five beautiful children. So I am a mother of four boys and one girl. And they're all grown, no one's baby. So between the ages
Mhm.
of 24, 22, set 19 and 18 and 17. That's
Wow.
where we're going. Yeah. They all have their own beautiful journeys, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them, no matter where they are in their journey. I do want them to know that I am proud of them because at least they're taking the initiative to fight,
That's it.
and to fight for what they believe in. They've all been given an understanding of how to have a relationship with God. And so, however life may go, they know what to do to get back,
That is
and
so
get
awesome.
into alignment. Um, as far as I am concerned, I'm multi-talented, multi-gifted, and highly favored individual.
Woo!
That you know, I am the daughter of the Most High, and so I believe that I have been gifted with the I don't even know, Lord, as I say, it's like this is a heavy weight, but it's to say I've been gifted with the ability to be a catalyst to inspire individuals to see themselves in the higher place, right, and
Mhm.
to take their rightful position
Right.
on the throne, and that might look in various ways, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be in ministry. It is, but ministry is housed in various capacity, as you both know, right? That
Mhm.
ministry, as we see it, we are walking ministries, and so
Yes.
God has given me a gift to be able to transcend multi dimensions of spaces, and so and ethnicities, and to just be able to reach beyond the normal means. And so when people ask me certain questions about myself, it's like, tell me who I am. I don't know how to really answer that. I'm a colorful individual, right? I don't know how to really answer that. But I'm a lover of people, a lover of God, and I'm grateful to be here and to be in the presence with you guys. And I'm grateful that you guys have given me opportunity and seen whatever light you saw that evening, that you guys saw that light, and I'm happy to be a part of what it is that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
The Bible tells us to try the spirit to see if it's of God. So we definitely have to uh, mingle with one another. We definitely have to strengthen one another. This is how iron sharpen iron, where we come together as a body, come together as a whole, come together as a people, and being on one accord. and we're going in the same direction. The Bible says, "How can two walk together unless they agree together?"
Agree
So,
together.
like my wife said, when she first seen you and first met you, you guys immediately connected at that point right there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nowhere you can go in 4 miles where you don't connect with someone, especially at
Right.
the Lee Pit Live after work.
That's
So
it.
that's really what's happening. But you definitely have a beautiful spirit, and we definitely admire you from a distance and admire you as close as we can to look at you and see that God is doing a great work in your life.
That's
And
it.
then everywhere you go, you're spreading joy of how you interact with individual, how you interact with people, period. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
Like a
Yeah.
glow towards you that people just attract like a magnet. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They
Yeah.
attracts to you, and it's a beautiful thing to see that God is really working in your life.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Everybody doesn't always see it that way, you know,
Right.
and
That's
and
true.
but everybody has their own positions, right? I need to have people who have feelings of opposition because that keeps me grounded and humble, right? So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
appreciate the fact that
Yes.
you guys have seen what you saw.
Definitely, definitely. And at this point, just want to ask the question we've been asking all of our guests here lately. What is one thing that those that are around you, that hang out with you, don't really know about you? I know those that are close to you know everything there is to know about Monika, but what's the one thing that they don't really delve into, that they really didn't know about you?
Um, at this moment, that is multifaceted. That's for me to say. Um, a lot of people do not know that I have a master's of divinity, that I have been in ministry for quite some time. So I
Mhm.
am, a lot of people really are not aware of I guess that part of my life. Not that I hide it per se, but more so of the fact that I don't think that a lot of people really understand the capacity in which I have come to know and love God, right? I don't
Mm.
think that a lot of people knew that I grew up in a what I would say the three Abrahamic faiths, which is Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And so my
Okay.
background again is very wide and very vast. And so my understanding about religion in its own is unique, right? And so that's where I think a lot of people don't know those things about me.
Okay. So you grew up inside of a mixed faith.
In a mixed faith, yeah, and so in a household, so my biological father is a Sunni Muslim. He is an imam. My mother is a Baptist minister, and my godmother was a Hasidic Jew.
Oh, okay, okay. So you
Yeah.
had a little of everything, exposed to different cultures and everything.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah. It is
Um,
a phenomenal thing.
because that way you don't have to say I'm Baptist because my parents are Baptist, or
Yeah.
I'm Church of God in Christ because my family is Church of God in Christ.
Yes.
You had the opportunity to be able to experience different forms of Christianity.
Yes.
So I like to say we used to have a youth group in Fort Pierce called Teens Making a Difference. And in that group, I took the young people to different ministries, so that they will see and experience what it is and how they worship and understand their
Right.
friends, for lack of a better way to explain it. Because sometimes people answer and act differently based on how they were raised. They're
Right.
not responding to you this way because of this, this, and this. This is what they were taught and how they were raised. So
Right.
I think that's important that we
Very,
That
very
is.
much so.
expose. I do
Very
think
much so.
that. So, and then so Master of Divinity. So, did you do anything with it per se? Uh-huh.
Yes and no. So I also did my doctorate in well, I had started to pursue my doctorate in ministry, and I ended up stopping
Okay, you did.
because
Okay.
God has different plans for that. But I
Mhm.
did, and I do believe that there will be a season where I will finish that. But at this moment in time, um, I am utilizing this as an opportunity for me to really delve into the work that
Gotcha.
God has put before me as I work with businesses and working with community. I think those things are important.
And well, at least you got your feet wet to understand and know as far as direction is concerned. Being able to go that step further, almost like to push you into another level in
Right.
ministry when you're
Right.
ready, and being able to see that and understand that. So that's pretty
Yeah.
good. But at least you have the masters in
Yeah.
divinity.
Yes,
And
I
being
do. So I actually have so my master's is in divinity with the focus on neuroplasticity. And so my whole goal was really originally to be able to go and work with thinking about ways in which we can re-envision the criminal justice system. And so,
oh
as I was sent to work on, it's called the National Capital Semester for Seminarians. I worked on Capitol Hill for a little while between the offices of faith and public life, doing some work, and I worked in various capacities across the new state of New Jersey. Um, Working with the National Federation of Democratic Women and a lot of other stuff that I've done. So like I said, when you say what is it that people don't know about you? There's a lot of things that people don't
wow,
know
I
about me.
know.
Um, I have a very my the breadth of things that I've done, it expands across a lot of various spaces.
Oh, I think that is so awesome. And as you said, even in the midst of being able to be the mother of five, you said,
Yes.
raising your babies in the midst of um, teaching, sharing, showing them, pushing them, birthing them, and
Mhm.
still finding time to get it together for yourself. How about that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also allowing that you're raising four boys and one girl, but you're allowing them to find their way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's the most important part right there, not smothering them, especially when it comes to our young black men.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We have this stereotype that a woman can't raise a man, but we see now that there are strong black women that are raising strong black men that are pushing them and leading them into great directions besides sports. They're sending them into the justice system. They're sending them to be lawyers, sending them to be doctors, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the area that is very gray in our community.
Hmm.
That we don't want to shift from that stigma of this being an athlete by itself.
Yeah.
What about our education? I mean, what about, like I said, the criminal justice system? What about being a defensive attorney, criminal lawyer? What about being this? What about being that? There's something that's going to enhance the community.
Hmm.
Change it. But we definitely commend you for raising four boys in this type of season that we are in right now. Is very, very commending.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'll say this. This is a hard conversation for me to have, but I've raised my children and I've raised other people's children, right? So even when I was
Hmm.
in school, I took on my friends her kids while she was dealing with the things that she needed to do. So I have many adopted children
Love it.
that I've raised, right? But I'll say it is not just me myself who's raised them. That is with community. I am not a single parent. I raise children within community, and so community is important, who we expose our children to and what we expose them to is important. And I believe that that is the reason why, despite whatever things that my children may have faced or continue to face even now, that they have a different understanding and a view of life is because I've built intentionally a community of people around them that they can go to, and wherever they are, those people will always reach back. And I have a very um serious understanding about what it means to be a godparent, right? And what
That's
does
it.
that look like, right?
That's it.
And what
That's
does
it.
it mean to be a kinsman redeemer, right? And
Mhm.
so when I look at those two things, I held them up and I said, okay, um, God, help guide me to the people and allow me not to be offended by those people's positions in my children's life. So I don't get jealous at the fact that my son can call his quote unquote godfather and talk to him about anything, because that was the reason upon which God had placed him in his life, right?
That's it.
And I might not have any relationship with these adults and per se, I'll say that, like a tight relationship, but because of whatever God has placed them there for, they have the relationship with the children in their perspective, right? rights. And some people are there for all of my kids, and some people are there for just one, right?
Hmm.
And we have to acknowledge and allow, be able to know that we don't. How can I say this nicely? That we don't know God's plans for our children, and we
That's
don't
it.
have the answer, and we don't know everything as it
That's it.
pertains to our children. And
Oh
as
my
much
God.
as we want to try to show up and say that we do not.
That's it. That is so
That's
true.
awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
when we get, I think it was Lee Pitts Live that I saw the interview, um, sharing about the story about your kids and about that one that just like he couldn't get it together. And I'm like, okay. And I told my husband about it. As soon as I heard it, I told my husband about it. I say, and then he went on and did his thing. I say, so I know she had to be a proud mom. Like you said, all of them are doing their thing. All of them are successful in going in their own directions. Um, but just tell us what direction they're in, what it is that they're doing.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry. You can proceed. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. So just share with us a little bit about your kids and what it is that they're doing, direction that they're going in.
Yeah. So I think so I have one son who I think did the interview on Lee Pitts Live. That was
Uh-huh.
Ari, who was going to Morehouse. He was the pre-med student. Is that
Yes,
who you saying that you saw?
yes, yes,
Okay, so
yes.
him. Yeah. So he had a lot of adversity just growing up, just, thinking about where he wanted to go. Wasn't really sure, but we again cultivated community. We got him involved in some programs. The CAP, Civil Air Patrol, was a wonderful program. He started learning how to fly planes at the age of 12. Just
Wow.
getting him involved in things and really working on self confidence and building self esteem. That is the thing in which it triggered him to kind of see that he can do things differently, right? Like that he
Yes.
wasn't like this kid who was stupid per se,
Hmm.
and he allowed himself to have the opportunity to go and flourish, right? And
Yes.
he allowed himself to be able to bear witness to the things that God had put in his heart and in his mind to
That's
do.
awesome. That's awesome. And I know he's probably sharing stories with young people that you know not of about how my mom
Right.
stayed on me and, inspirational stories to encourage other young people. Sometimes they say and do things um, that we don't know that they're sharing. And then all of a sudden you have someone come and say, oh, yeah, your son was telling me about dot, dot, dot. Oh, okay. So he told you about it. So sometimes it's there. The root is there. The seed is there. Sometimes, like you say, we think they don't get it, but they do get it. And they go on and do what it is that they know is the right thing to do in life. So I love that. I love that. But I always remembered that. And I shared that with my husband as soon as I heard that. So if you are just tapping in right now, we have the distinct pleasure of hanging out with Monika Jackson. She is a life coach, consultant, community host. Um, she is a graduate of Doctor Ministry, Masters of Divinity and Ministry. Something you may not know about her. She is a mover and a shaker. She's also the the shall I say the birther of Royalty Ministries, Royalty Mission Network.
Yeah, so there's
So,
Royalty Ministries and Royalty Mission Network. So one's a nonprofit,
yes,
one's a for-profit. So you are right in
yes,
to say, yeah, the birth division, right? I don't own
that's
that
it.
one, the
That's
nonprofit,
it.
but
That's
that's
it.
it.
So I love that. I love that. Especially the Royalty Mission Network. Um, and then the podcast that you used to do. And I'm like, okay, so, and then when I talk to you or text you, then you share with me that it's not up and running yet, but um, have a God leads to be able to bring that back to help birth and strengthen and encourage those that tap into that line. And if you don't mind sharing just a little bit about what that podcast was all about.
Yeah, so the Throne Room podcast was a place where we could purge from our issues, heal from our wounds, so that we could find rest to transform into that which we have been called and created to become. That was a place that in the season that podcast was rendered was a place for me where I was really going through this thought process about healing. I was on this healing journey, and
Mhm.
there were a lot of things that had happened in my life, and a lot of things that was going on that I just really needed to take the time out to do some self work. And God had told me that I wasn't the only one. And
Mhm.
so I created this space so that others could journey in their own ways with me. Um, and now there was a season where it came to an end.
Mhm.
And now we are in this season, not that healing stops because it doesn't. We are
Right.
now in this place where I don't live to heal, right? I live to live, right? And I'm
Gotcha.
not always seeking to like, oh my gosh, I need to heal. I'm in my healing zone. No, no, no. I'm always healing. I'm always, but I'm here to live and I'm here to build. So now I'm in the building stage where I am taking the throne, my seat, my rightful place. And
Okay.
so I'm in the season of receiving and reaping that which I have sown over all of this time.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And I like that. When you think about the throne room, it just almost like paints a picture to where I can release, I can be comfortable, I can be secure, I can be
Right,
covered. So I'm
right,
sure that was probably a very effective podcast,
right.
and some disappointed people when you stop doing it.
Right. There were, so everybody has been asking me about that. And so I literally am thinking about doing that. So
Gotcha. I'm glad I caught you at that time to where you were going to push forward and try to be a blessing to so many once again in the Throne Room podcast. So I was so excited about that. And I see that you are hosting a breakfast that's coming up really soon.
yes, I'm hosting the breakfast. The breakfast is actually going to be at the Quality Life Center. It's not me hosting the breakfast. Let me correct that. This is actually the Lee County Black History Society who is
Gotcha.
hosting this breakfast, and I am now a part of the Lee County Black History Society. And I'll wait until we go. Until Saturday for them to make the official announcements.
Oh, congratulations, Lee County Black History Society.
And to refrain back to your podcast, well, Paul was teaching that in Galatians about living in God's spirit. And at the end of chapter 5, he was talking about how we as Christians who live in God's spirit should use his power to treat each other. It is so adamant that the gift that he give us, and a lot of folks don't understand that gift is not for us.
Hmm.
It's for those that we're going to
Right.
encounter. And this is how God gets his glory back right here. So the gift that you have of running a podcast, of bringing, like I said earlier, you are a drawer.
Hmm.
You are a drawer. Everywhere you go, people
Thank
flock to
you.
you. And when you was young, you're like, man, why do people want to touch on me? Why do people want to come around me? But that's the gift that you have of drawing one another. And when you draw them, you captivate their attention. And so now you're able to speak into lives that no one can reach. And this is why I'm so adamant that when we come together as brothers and sisters, we got to recognize who one another is. It should not we should not be strangers when they come to one another. We should not just be friends with one another just
Right.
because we go to the same ministry, just because we go to the same school or in the same fraternity. But we should be friends because we are brothers and sisters. And so what you're doing with your podcast is just very, 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 powerful. And when it get back up and running, what you had is going to triple than the first time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So
That's
I
it.
appreciate that. And
So
and you're right. It is for us not to take offense to
that's
that,
it.
right? It's for us to acknowledge the fact that we do this work is God's work, not our own personal work.
Exactly.
That's it. That's it. And we're just going to step away just for a moment, but we're going to keep flowing. She'll be with us again in just a few
Yes.
minutes, but we'll just keep flowing. Um, I just love it. I just love the fact that she is a single Black woman
Mm-hmm.
doing some great things in our community, being able to share her vision, her life with us. Because a lot of times, some of the things that we go through in our life, sometimes when we get to a point to where what you've been through can help others,
Mm-hmm.
our testimonies can help other people.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get to a point to where we've been broken, walked in brokenness, God healed us, picked us up, and then pushed us on our way. Sometimes it's hard to open up and say, I've been there, done that,
Right.
and I'm still hanging in there.
Right.
To know that I'm a mom and then raising, eh, can I say this, being a boy mom,
Mm-hmm.
being able to raise young men, to show them that mom went through, but she persevered. She didn't stop. She kept going. So to be able to do that and build young men at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I know that's got to be an art by itself, because it was a job just trying to raise the girls. But then to say to raise young men and then still have what you call that bounce back anointing to keep going. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome. So I commend her for doing that. I commend her for persevering. I commend her for being resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so glad that she was able to find time to hang out with us on Hanging with the Walkers and be able to show and share that. And as I said, we when I saw her at Lee Pitts Live, and then I saw her being interviewed, and then she shared about her son, this particular one, Ari, and then the fact that he still went on to Morehouse College, to still hang in there, not quit, not give up because of everything that he was going through with. Then I had ultimate respect for her as a mom raising young men. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I love that. So if you just tapped in with us, we have the distinct pleasure of hanging out with Monika Jackson.
All
Um,
right.
some
Thank you
people
so
didn't
much.
know
Is
that
there
she had
anything you
her.
need from me?
Oh, I'm
Monica
sorry.
Jackson,
And we can still hear you in the
4411
background
Cortina
talking.
Circle. It is 640. Sorry.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry about
Okay. So if you are tapping in with us now, we are hanging out with Monika Jackson. Um, she has the master's degree in divinity. I'm just in awe about that part. She is a community host, a life coach. She's a consultant. She's the founder of the Royalty Mission Network and also the Royalty Ministries. She is a podcaster and the birthing of the Throne Room podcast to help people that are on their healing journey. And as she says, we're here to live now. We're not still healing. God has already healed us. As you said once before, um, if we realize that God has already healed us, open that door, we're still knocking on it like it's locked, but He's already opened it.
the best thing about healing, we don't have to see it in order to walk in it,
Hmm.
because we walk by faith and not by sight. We as children of God, scratch that there. We as people of God has been trained how to say thank you for something that someone has did for us, but we now have been trained to stir up prayers of thank you or blessings of thank you for our present tense, for our future tense. We've been trained to say thank you when you receive something from somebody, but what about thanking God before you receive it? So this is why we have to go to Him knowing that He's a rewarder of those that continue to seek Him diligently.
Hmm.
So when we put that in our spirit and we look at something from a different perspective in our lives, and we start to feel different, and we start to hear different, we start to see different, but not because we begin to trust Him. The only reason why we have these issues with life is because we don't have no trust in our Lord and Savior.
That's
He
true.
didn't say cast some of our case, he said cast all of them. So the stuff that you're not casting is the stuff that you're holding on. That's what giving you issues.
Hmm. That is so true. That is so true. And then, like you say, I know that
Thank you guys.
no
I'm
problem. No
back.
problem.
Thank you so much. So to give you just a little bit insight. So I'm always juggling a whole bunch of things. And one of the things that I was juggling now is trying to get back into my place after being locked out, but it's all good. So I appreciate everyone's willingness to wait while, but I heard everything that was said, and so I just want to say thank you.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
Again, yeah, I say thank you for multiple reasons. Is to say thank you to the community of people who have continually surrounded me and my children. Number one is my mother, and I swear I aspire to be like her one day.
Hmm.
Her
Hmm.
heart of pure love, compassion, and understanding. She's always seeking to be better than she was the day before, and so I always will say that I do wish to become a woman of her caliber, her character, her integrity. The other people around me, they all know who they are. They all have their respective places, and so again, I say that not lightly. I say that with a very heavy hand because we proclaim. You made a statement of single mom, a single woman. I'm not. I am one single, but I am
Right,
singular, but I am
right.
not single. I come in community. We don't have many single mothers. We don't raise our children in isolation from the world. And
I
that is a
love it.
perspective that I think that we need to embrace as Black women, particularly because we have this, because when we do that, we take on this victim mentality. And I do not want us to have a victim mentality, but a victorious mentality that says that God has given me the resources and equipped me with the things that I need in order for me to raise my children in the capacity that they need to be raised so that
Hmm.
they can carry out the work. Regardless if I'm not equipped with certain things, like I can't raise men, I can't raise boys. So, yes, I have raised sons, but that is not void of male figures in their
That's
lives.
it.
So that is
That's it.
a must, right?
That's
And
it.
if it was my choosing, they would have been with their father.
Right,
Um,
right.
because I do believe that that is something that is very important in a young man's life is to have a male figure in their lives, even if it's not so good, right? I believe that if you give in a foundation, that even the example of the not so good example is a good example of for them for what not to do and not to become. Now, people
Hmm.
might have their arguments with me about that,
Of
but
course,
I'm
of
okay with
course.
that. It's okay, right? It's okay. You can argue with me all day long, but that's you arguing with yourself. If that,
Right.
but at the same time, I say that I trust God, right? And when I say I fully trust God, when God gave me the words for my children, my children's names, He's casted a vision before me for all of them. And I have to trust the process. And
That's
when I
it.
trust the process, I allow God to be God, and I can't. And I can't be God. And every time I try to step into God's lane to try to play Him, it never works out
That's
and
it.
it
That's it.
crumbles. And
That's
so
it.
I've learned to step back and allow God to be God so that my children can do the things that God has called for them to do. Um, and so I say that also to say, uh, Pastor, you made another comment with regards to our healing journeys and
Hmm.
the things that I said. And what's important about the healing journey is I there was this quote that my mom and I read out of. I used to do these small groups over the book of oh, it's at the tip of my tongue, but it was like the purpose driven life. That's what it
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And one of the biggest focuses that I took away from that was life is a test and a trust. And
Hmm.
as we go through the journey, we have to understand what the tests are and trust not only in God, but we have to trust ourselves that we
Yes.
have the ability to be able to connect with the Most High, right? And that
Hmm.
that in itself is empowering us to take up our mat and to heal ourselves and to do all the things that when we look at these scriptures, what they say that we can do, that is what has been given to us, the authority that we have been given. And so
Hmm.
I stretch us to continue to think about, do we truly trust God? But most importantly, do we truly trust ourselves? And when we
Hmm.
trust ourselves enough, we give leeway and we enforce this, what I would say, we put the plug of the cord into the socket and we magnify our faith so that we then really trust in God's process, divine process.
Hmm.
And we sometimes we live with the cord disconnected from the socket, saying that
Mm.
it's connected, but it's not.
That's good. That's good.
That's awesome. A lot of times we disconnect because there's some things that we don't want change in. And I tell people that change is good once we embrace it. But we know when we're stuck
Yeah.
in our old habits, that's when change become a threat to who we really are as a child of God. Because the enemy knows that once you change, what you're gonna destroy in the midst of your changing. Because like
Hmm.
you're reaching people right now through your life changes as a drawer, if someone else on your podcast that are tapping into it and their draw, now we got two drawers on the podcast, that it is definitely destroying yoke. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
anointing what destroys the yoke.
Hmm.
So once that take place where we have two that connect them, now the force is more greater now. And this is what makes the
Hmm.
enemy flee.
Hmm.
When we try to do something by ourselves, it becomes difficult sometimes for us
Hmm.
because we were not created to be by ourselves.
Right.
We were created to be
Right.
together as a people, as a
Right.
whole, as a body. And when we truly understand, like I say in 1 Corinthians 12 and 5, that God, I'm 12 and 18, that God had placed every member in the place that pleases him. The
Hmm.
problem that we're having is staying where God put us at. And so this is why we can't flourish in some areas.
That's true. I believe that.
Mhm.
I believe that. But I want to go back
Mm.
to, so you can say it again for me. Not necessarily quote unquote single woman, but single and connected to the community.
Right. So I'm singular. I am one person. I'm one individual and I am a
Hmm.
woman, but I am
Uh-huh.
not without community. So I'm not by
Gotcha.
myself. I don't
Gotcha.
raise my children without anyone or any help or any type of support, even the support that I receive from government or culture or whatever. There is a community around me that is helping me support me in raising my children, whether or not I want to acknowledge it or not.
That's it right there. That's it.
Right.
You just said a mouthful, and I wanted you to repeat that again because that should be just like bottled, pressed, and then just spread across the hearts and minds of those that are not um, in a relationship to remind them that you're not alone. Help is there, just like healing is there. You have to desire both. You have to desire the help and you have to desire the healing. But a lot of times we're um, going through this quote unquote brokenness, this hurt, and all of the pain that goes along with the things that we go through as women. And because of that, help is right there, a lot of times knocking, asking, waiting. But instead of us accepting and receiving that, we sometimes reject the community, the very community that's trying to help us. So I'm going to make sure that I press forward and share on this video when we finish, because those that are single that attach themselves to our podcast got to remember that you're not alone, that there is a community of people that's there, whether we want to receive it
Yeah,
or
they're
not.
willing to help,
Yeah, they want to
ready
help.
to help,
Hmm.
but we got to
Can
first
I
be willing.
yeah, can I add something to that?
Yes.
Um I think that one of the biggest reasons why it's hard pill to swallow, both the fact that we have community and that we need to desire our healing, is because both of us require us to see ourselves in ways that we don't want to.
That's
And
so
we're
true.
often running from two things, right? What change brings, right, is
Hmm.
the revealing of who the true nature, the dark side, the shadow side of who we are,
Hmm.
which will then expose us to either pain and rejection, right? Like,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and those are the two things that we try to stay away from the most, right? we
Yes.
we don't want to be filled with any type of pain or sorrow, or feeling of lack of purpose, and we don't want to be rejected. And so, because of that, we tend to stay in ego. And we
Hmm.
stay in pride. And that keeps us from being open to receiving the help from the community and understanding the type of healing that we need. And healing carries itself out on various levels at various times and various
Hmm.
capacities and various ways. I can encounter a person and be healed from the encounter. I can
Hmm.
also go read a book and be healed by reading the book. I can go into meditation and I can have deep breath and find a level of healing in that meditational practice. But if I am unwilling to see myself, those things are always bandages, and we will always come to places where the bandage may be ripped off or the scab or wound in the right under the right pressure or circumstance will be reopened. And so I challenge each of us, both men and women, to do this self-reflective work, which is ugly and nasty, which
Hmm.
requires you to go to places that you don't want to necessarily go and to see your own demons for what they are and face them. Call them
Hmm.
out and cast them out because you've been given the power to do so. Does that mean
Hmm.
that they don't exist anymore? No, that means that you have learned how to um, I don't want to say live with them, but you have learned how to wrestle with the thorn in your side
That's it.
so that you might be able to build a better way of living, not the same way, but a better way of living that then requires you to lean not on your own understanding, but
That's
stretch
it.
yourself to say, tap into the divine discernment because it is then the divine that leads the way and not you.
That is so awesome. And it's not like God can't do it, but He put people in our lives that He may work through us to show the other ones that it can be done. And this is why Christ came to demonstrate this great example for all of us, that
Hmm.
He gave up the ghost and came in the flesh so that we can have no excuses of why it cannot be done.
Hmm.
The issue that we're
Mhm.
having is we have that braggadocious spirit. We have
Hmm.
that pride of life that we pushes the very thing that we prayed away.
Hmm.
It's amazing. Paul says it's amazing how I bless and curse out of the same mouth. Now,
Hmm.
the same mouth I'm doing that with, I don't pray the prayer, but since that prayer didn't come in the form of my recognition of how I wanted it to come, guess what I do?
Hmm.
I shy away from it. And then we go to God like, okay, Lord, what happened? I gave it to you, but it didn't come in the form that you wanted. This is why I put such a person in your life. But since they don't dress like I dress, or drive like I drive, or live like I live, you rejected me. So
Hmm.
this is the issue that we're having in the body of Christ. We're not living a life that is pleasing and acceptable unto God, but we're living a life that is pleasing and acceptable unto man.
Hmm.
So that's what the issue is, why it's so hard for us to receive what God has for us.
Hmm.
Because the only way that we can please God is in spirit and in truth.
Yes.
It's impossible to please God without faith.
Hmm.
So we put our faith in man, we put our faith in the government, we put our faith in our jobs, and then as soon as something happens, God is the first one we run to.
Hmm.
But as soon as you get a good job, you stop going to Sunday school, stop going to Bible study, you stop going to church, you stop doing this, you stop doing that right there.
Hmm.
And so we shy away from the people in our community that are really there for us. We
Hmm.
should not be able to go into our house and close our garage down hiding from our neighbors.
Right. Right.
Because that very neighbor that you're hiding from is the very one that God gonna put into your life to give you the desires of your heart or give you what you want. God can do it straight up, but He put people in our lives for that reason. And it's all about connection, all about divine favor,
Hmm.
so that He gets the glory not in some things, but in everything.
And again, single with the community that is there to more or less help.
Mm-hmm.
But I just I just thought to myself just then, and my mind went back that it's almost like God gave you a secret weapon. When someone sees you from the outside or they meet you, they have this tendency to think, okay, she's shy and timid. But the reason why I say he made you a secret weapon on the inside is because that shy and timid spirit is a drawing card. And it's a card because you want to get to know this person that seems timid, shy, harmless, but is deadly in the spirit. Because
Mm,
when you come into my world, then I can share with you what God has given me, but I
mhm,
have to let you in first. So
mm,
once you see me and you're drawn to me, as my husband says, then that gives me an opportunity to share the giftings that he's put on the inside of me. And that's a secret
mm,
weapon because everybody don't have that. We either see the outward beauty, it draws
mhm,
them, then we're loud and unexpected and don't know what they will or won't say or what they will or won't do.
mhm,
Then there are others that when you get to know them, it's like, okay, arm length. No, that's not someone that you want to attach yourself to. But because he gave you that secret weapon to be able to draw them in gently, because some people you have to
mhm,
draw in gently because they can be intimidated by what you
mhm,
know or by what you
mhm,
don't know.
mhm,
So it's like a small like a drawing card.
mhm.
Let me share with
Yeah,
you so that I can help show you who can heal, who can deliver, who can set you free. I can't do it, but I can lead you to someone that did the same for me. And all you
mhm,
have to do is want and desire what it
mhm,
is that he's done for me. The smile
mhm,
is even dangerous because the smile is saying, I'm all right. It's all good.
uh,
I'm all well with the world.
mhm.
It's all good. Come as you may. But the
Yeah,
smile is also saying it's a protective defense mechanism because God will only allow certain people to attach themselves to you and will only allow certain ones to be able to be in a conversation and in your circle. And then there are others
yeah,
that would try, but they're not allowed to. It's not that they don't have a
yeah.
desire. He just has a shield. And if they don't come correct, he'll just expose so they cannot get to where they need to. So I just saw
Yeah.
all of that while you were talking to my husband a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I was having that conversation the other day with someone about like that secret weapon that you're talking about, and I like
Oh
the
yeah.
way you
Oh yeah.
you phrased it all,
Oh
but
yes.
it is wrapped up in a layer of femininity, right? It
Yes,
is
it is.
wrapped up in a layer of extreme overdose of love. Like you
Yeah,
don't know how
yeah.
to take it, and a lot of
That's
people
it.
might even think it as it being fake, but no. When you get to know me, this is
It's not
really me.
fake. It's
I
real.
I
It's
am
real.
I am genuinely a lover of people, and
Hmm.
I genuinely want good for the world, and I genuinely have a very optimistic eye. So when some of my friends call me sunshine, I have friends who call me
That's it.
bunny. I have friends
That's
who
it.
call me, you know, I have different various nicknames in various spaces, but the overall arching thing is that this is my brand, right? So in the
Hmm.
beginning, you asked me, who am I? And the thing that I can tell you is that I want to be the person that people encounter. And when they encounter me, they feel the love of God.
That's it.
That's what
That's it.
I desire. And so it is
Powerful.
my prayer that if that is what I desire, that that is what is reflected. And this is something that is continuously groomed and worked on within me. And I ask God that also comes with challenges, right? Because
Yes,
God
it
will
does.
stretch me with
Yes.
patience and
Yes.
understanding and
Yes.
having to go through, or what I say, grow through various things in order for me to learn what it means to be a lover of people, someone
Hmm.
who shows God's love no matter what. And it could also be seen from some perspectives as a deadly weapon, because those who try to take for granted and I'll say mismanage the blessing that they may
That's
have in
it.
front of you. And that's not me being arrogant. That is me
Right.
saying that I I intentionally want to be a blessing to someone. And so
That's it.
because of that, you are better off being my friend than my enemy, because
That's
you
it.
being my friend, God, whatever God has blessed me with, God is going to allow me the breath and the extension to bless those who are in my presence with, because that's my prayer, right?
That's it.
That is the way in which I want to live life. But
Hmm.
if you decide that you want to be my enemy, you see that as a threat to you,
That's
because
it.
you can't understand and fathom what I can do, but you know that there's power within me. So
Right.
you're fearful of it, because it's like she's a weapon. She can
That's it.
possibly hurt me, but I don't desire to hurt you. I
That's
only
it.
desire to see you well, right? And
That's
so
it.
that's something that I've struggled with people. And oddly enough, it's women who I just want to connect with. And I like want them
Exactly.
to know that we are, like,
Exactly.
I'm here for you, sis.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not
Yes.
your enemy.
Yes.
Especially in this area. Like, and one thing that I guess I do want to people to also understand is that you might look at me and you say she's pretty, she looks exotic, she's all these things, right? But I'm a woman of integrity. I'm a
Hmm.
woman of character. And so one thing
Hmm.
I don't do is I don't jeopardize that for anybody or
That's
anything.
it.
And I don't see
That's it.
myself as second, right? And
Hmm.
so I will never place myself in position of second, third, or fourth. And so any woman who might feel any type of way about me because of that, I want to put that as a correction to you, that you don't have to worry about that about me, because that's I don't stand on that. I stand on
That's it.
something
That's
different.
it. And I sensed that and picked up all of that. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, she's special in ways that I know she knows or may not know. But when I get a chance
Yeah.
to talk to her or chat with her, then I'll put my 2 cents in that yes, he made you special. He made you that way. And then I say again, to reiterate, to have young men that you birth, for them to see you go through, still love God, um, still protect, still love them, then there are some generations of women that will come in their life that is going to be grateful to you, because they're not, they won't be women bashers. They'll be respectful of women, because my mom is a queen, and because she is a queen, that's something that I desire in my life, and nothing else short of that. And I admire and commend you for that, because that's what we need to be raising
Hmm.
in this day and age. Young kings that respect the queens that God allowed to cross that path, whether it be in friendship, whether it be in fellowship, whether it be in employment, or just casual. But we still need to know and understand that we are to respect those that God has placed in our life. And I commend you on that. I really do. I think highly of you for being a boy mom and being able to say, hey, I did the best I could with my community helping me, and they made it.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
really, really do love that. Yes, I do. So, if you are just joining us, we have the distinct pleasure of hanging out with Monika Jackson, founder of the Royalty Mission Network and also the Royalty Ministries. She's also founder of the Throne Room podcast. She's balancing family, work, ministry, holding it all together, community host, life coach, consultant, and just an all around queen, just sharing love and showing love. And when you meet her, please tell her, you know what, I saw you on Hanging with the Walkers, and I just fell in love with your spirit, because that's her desire, that she share and show the love of Christ in her walk. And I love that.
Yeah, that's it.
That is so awesome. So, changes that you've made to build and strengthen you at this point in your life.
Mm. Again, as a part of my healing journey, a part of me seeing me for who I am, both the good,
Uh-huh.
the bad, not so good, the ugly, the things that I had to heal from. I had to recognize the traumas that were in my life and let them
Mhm.
be what they were, and
Yes,
understand that they were building blocks and not they were building blocks and not stumbling stones, right?
that's it.
And so um, I'm not fearful of change. I'm not fearful of where God is going to take me. I'm good either way, right? And
Good.
so we have to, when we truly walk with God, we understand that we're good either way. Everything is
Mhm.
not, peaches and cream. It's not like, oh, everything is going to be good all the time, but I do walk with God. And so it is my desire that. I'll continually do the work, the self work needed in order for me to continually show up as my best self day by day, right? So what are
That's
the
it.
things that I need to look at within me? What are the things that God is trying to get me to see about myself that I need to continually enhance and work on? I believe that I'm a lifelong student. And because of that, I am always looking at ways in which I can do the work, right? So
That's it.
and it's the heart work, right? What am I doing to ensure that the things that are coming and flowing from my heart are the things that are good and of pure nature? Am I perfect? No. If y'all think that, then that's something y'all think. I'm not perfect, right? By any means. I'm not perfect, but I try and I do desire to see myself better.
And I see you working on your temple. That's awesome. I see you doing the workout thing.
Yes. Okay. So this is a big deal to me. Okay. So I want you to listen. And I have to give a shout out to John. Okay, because as I was going through my own again my healing journey and thinking about I had already worked on my mind, my spirit was in alignment with things, and I'm doing all this work, and then I had already begun the process of saying body is important, but he brought me to a different level of need to understand why body is important, right? So I already
Mhm.
knew these things, but and he might have been playing around when he said it, but he was serious, right? So
Mhm.
as I thought about it, it was like, look at the church, look at who's dying, look at the people around you, those who are saying and delivering prophetic words. I'm gonna challenge you guys to say, how are you really loving the temple upon which God has given you to
Mhm.
really do the work of God? God does not desire us to be sick. He does not
Mhm.
desire us to be unhealthy. He or she does not desire us to be in this destitute state of ill being,
Mhm.
right? That's
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
God's desire for us. And
Mhm.
the moment we take a stand to go before God's people and speak any words of condemnation, how do we look at ourselves to say, am I am I the representation that God wants me to be for God's people? Am I
Mhm.
really walking in the light of the thing that God wants me to represent?
Mhm.
Does Can God use me to God's fullest extent if I'm in this unhealthy place? And
Gotcha.
so my mind is ultimately convicted by the fact that I can't be the thing that God needs me to be and do the work in the way that God wants me to fully do the work. And I can't even understand my own capacity and my own stretch until I have learned to discipline myself in what I intake in my body.
Gotcha. That's
That's
it.
important. And
Mhm.
it's also important for me to just be my best self because I want to have clear mind. I want to have a beautiful quote unquote body. And it's not for a beautiful body for you. It's a beautiful
Right.
body for me, for God.
Yes.
What is it that God or my spouse or right, like it's what does God desire of me, because when God put me together, and some people say, "Oh, well, I'm going to die one day," but this is not how God wanted me to die.
Mm-hmm.
God did
Mm-hmm.
not want me to die in suffering or from cardiac arrest. God did not
Mm-hmm.
want me to die from cancers and paralysis and diabetes. That's not
All right.
God's desire for me. And so, because of that, I'm challenging myself, I'm challenging others around me to do the work of disciplining themselves and coming in alignment and attunement to um, what it is that we need to do to really work through our character, because that is a part of our character, right? So
Yes,
when we think about fruits of the spirit, and we talk about greed and gluttony and all this other stuff, that's all in there, right? That i
yes, it
i
is.
consider that to be all in there. So what is the mindset shifts that we need to take in order to see ourselves to this healthy place? And you know what,
Yes,
I hear God better. I hear God better. I do. And I can even feel how my body is getting ready to go through certain sicknesses. I can feel that now,
that's
right?
it.
Before I couldn't really necessarily feel it. I can feel it differently now. And
That's
I
it.
know what God is trying to do with me. I also interact and engage better. I have bandwidth to go further. I have more energy to do the work. That all matters, and that's why the body. So when I'm saying I want to get all of me together and I'm giving all of myself as a sacrifice, right, unto God, and I'm bringing all of me under subjection, mind, body, soul, spirit. Body is physical, right? It's what
That's it.
that's important. That's important. And I made that a really long conversation here because um, I don't want us to die anymore. I
That's
don't
it.
want us and I want our people not to see hypocritical uh, people in the pulpits. I want us to work on us. So as we talk to them and try to convict them about how they're living their lives, that also has to do with what we put in our
Start with
bodies and
us.
how we care for
That's
us.
it. That's good. I like that. I like that. And we don't even take that scripture to the context that it was
Mhm.
given to us to beat our body as a good soldier,
Hmm.
um,
Keep it up on the
Mhm.
suggestion.
and keep it under subjection. We don't
Mhm.
take that to the context that it needs to, and we forget sometimes that he didn't send sickness, he didn't send the diseases. These are things that came
Mhm.
about because of what and how, and our yes
Mhm.
to certain things in our lives. So when we get to that point, it's kind of hard to accept. I'm gonna accept what
Mhm.
God allowed. Well, no, He didn't really allow it. You did because of your yes, because of your stretching in the wrong direction. Uh,
Mhm.
can we say genetics? Can we say hereditary? But we can change that
Hmm.
because it
Mhm.
can stop with us. It may
Yes.
it may have started somewhere else, but we can stop it.
And when you feel good
Y'all
about
always
yourself,
talk about generational curses, right?
Right,
That's a
right, right.
generational curse that you have the power to break.
You have the power to
that's
break
right.
it.
And,
That's
and
it.
when you feel good about yourself, you feel good about others.
That's it. That's it.
Yes,
You
yes.
That is
definitely
so
will.
awesome.
You definitely will.
I said, boy, listen, we getting it in. That's all I was saying when I saw the workout video. I said, she getting it in.
Yeah, yeah,
That is so
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So, how, if someone is listening right now, how can you share with them how they should deal with life's ups and downs at this point?
You're not God. Take a breath. Take it one day at a time. It's a learning
Mm-hmm.
moment. It's a curve.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we're never where we want to be, even when we think we are.
Yes.
And so it's not up to debate with anybody about where you are to be, but it is up for your discernment with God about where you are to go.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's a hard question for me to answer. I don't like to give advice because that is I think that too again has to do with who do you think you are to be able to give someone advice God didn't tell you to give, right? And so
Yes.
I don't want to say I'm giving advice, but
Exactly.
if I
Exactly.
was to give a testimony to how I would go about my own processes, you and God got this.
That's it.
You and God got this.
That is so
And
real.
keep your head up, King. Keep your head up, Queen. God got you. No matter the direction, God got you.
That's it.
There will be times where God will feel distant, but God is only distant because you don't desire to keep your eyes up. And as my daddy
Mm,
said, keep your eyes on Jesus. I love you, Daddy. I
that's
love
it.
my dad for always, regardless of if he's mad at me and I don't talk to him all the time. He's always he has been a father to teach me some things about life. And when I may lose focus, he will always bring me back
Hmm.
to keeping my eyes to the place, to the hills, right? And
That's
so for
it.
that, I'm grateful for him. Um, and I say that to those out there who are in the mist, keep your
Amen.
eyes, keep
That's
your
it.
eyes to the hill.
And I put that in the chat. You and God got this.
That's it. That's the
You
only one can
and
help
God.
you.
Oh my God. And then I know you wanted to do second half.
Yes.
That's it.
Welcome to the second part of our segment,
Mm-hmm.
Forever Growing,
Yes.
because you guys are forever growing.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus of the
Mhm.
night, knowing who to trust.
Yes.
Very simple, very simple. This is how you know you're dealing with somebody who can be trusted. Somebody who treats people right they don't currently need. Because when a person knows that they need you, they will treat you right, they will act right by you. But when they don't know they need you, they will walk right past you like you're nothing.
Mm. Hmm. That's pretty good. When they don't think they need you.
They don't think they need you, knowing who to
Mm-hmm.
trust.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Forever growing. 4 keys to dating. I was beat up real bad last year by not giving stuff for the single. So I'm coming out strong in 2025 for the single. Coming out
All
real
right.
strong for the single.
For the single
For
that's
the
connected
single.
to a community.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
4 keys to dating. By following his standard on sex and dating intentionally, a couple can begin their marriage on a strong foundation without any regret.
Mm-hmm.
One question I get asked fairly often, and it's usually from married couples hoping to instill good values in their children, is what the right way to date. They wanted to give their children solid biblical advice about dating.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mhm.
Bible doesn't say one specific word about dating because people didn't date back then like we do today.
Right.
However,
Mm.
scripture does have strong words that can apply to today's dating culture.
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians 6 and 15 say, do you know that your body are members of Christ himself?
That's it.
Should I then take the members of Christ and unite them with a prostitute? Never. 1 Corinthians 6 and 18. Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body. But whosoever sins sexually, sin against their own body.
Mm-hmm.
1 Corinthians 6, 19 and 20. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. In today's culture, young people tend to have relationship after relationship. They date around, they engage in casual hookup rather than honoring God with their bodies. They see sex as inconsequential. What they don't understand is that God created sex to be consequential. For one thing, he created sex for procreation. But not just that, God gave us intimacy because it's part of the process by which we become one with another. Sex creates a deep connection between people. When you have a sexual relationship with someone, it creates a powerful, intimate bond. When you break up with that person, part of that person comes with you. Part of you goes away. It hurts. That's why sex can be so damaging before and outside of marriage.
Yep.
Now, this leads me to a few concepts that I often teach about. One is date intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Intentional dating approaches it with the idea that you're preparing for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It is the opposite of recreational dating, which is dating for fun or for sexual purpose. If a romantic couple discover one of them doesn't have the intention of getting married someday, then they end the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Date non-sexual. Make a decision to set perimeters on physical affection. For instance, we're going to kiss and hold hands, but we're not going to lie down together.
Okay.
These kinds of boundaries keep couples from ending up in compromising position.
Mm-hmm.
Date by faith, not by fear. I'm
Okay.
gonna say that again. Date by faith, not by fear. Acting on fear make your fears come true. People who act promiscuously because they're worried about finding a spouse and getting married are hurting themselves in their future marriage. Instead, put faith in God's words and rely on God to bring you the right person.
Hmm.
Date to explore, not to impress.
Okay.
Date to explore, not to impress. Rather than worrying about physical attraction, go deep. Engage in meaningful conversation. Be honest and authentic. You don't want to get married only to discover that two of you have hurtful issues and your past are different ideas about raising children, etc., etc.
Hmm.
Dating God ways honor parents, family, and the two people involved. By following his standards, my brothers and sisters, on sex and dating intentionally, a couple can begin their marriage on a strong foundation without any regrets.
Hmm.
Finding the right one. It's not hard at all, brothers and sisters, if you truly build off the foundation that Christ has already established for us. If you link up with those that are married, have been married, and those that have longevity in marriage, whether it's good, whether it's bad, the ups and the downs,
Hmm.
and put yourself in a position where you're able to glean from that,
Right.
where you're able to pull from that. Everything on your plate is not for you to eat. You
Right.
eat what you need to eat and save the rest for later.
Hmm.
We're talking about dating tips here because
Hmm.
we're in a century now, in a time now where the world is want us to just be partners, want us to just live together, want us to just be roommates. But what are we going to tell our Lord and Savior when He returns?
Yes.
Because He's coming back for a return. He's coming back for His bride,
Hmm.
which is you. And what are we going to tell Him? The reason that we was having making love out of wedlock, the reason we was doing this, the reason we were doing that right there. We got to be better than we was yesterday.
That's it.
We should not be the same today as we was yesterday.
Hmm.
We can no longer continue to be creatures of habits. We can no longer continue to sup, dine, eat, and sleep with the enemy.
Right.
We got to refrain ourselves from those areas.
Hmm.
So, in order for us to continue to grow, my brothers and sisters, there's some great areas that we need to fill in. And so,
Amen.
we have to surround ourselves with those that are married
Mm.
and those that are contemplating on getting married. So, while you're growing, my brothers and sisters, refrain, I say refrain from having sex out of wedlock. May God bless you. May God bless you, and may God bless you.
Oh man, we like to drop nuggets. You know, they always tease us. You know, we have a I say young man that taps into the podcast, Dr. Frierson. He says you got to make sure you give us some nuggets for the single people. I say, well, we know that we were single before we got married, and there are some things, directions, avenues that God gave us that we share periodically through the podcast. So one young lady out of Tennessee said, give us more singles. So we try to make sure we drop nuggets for the singles because you were single before you get married.
That's right.
So there's some things and values that you have to have beforehand. So, and please pick that one up, single with the community. Make sure you pick that
Mhm.
one up. But those are some good nuggets that you shared tonight. Date intentionally, date non-sexual, date by faith and not by fear, and date to explore, not impress. Because if we think about that, in all actuality, if we date by fear, then we'll become intimate before time because we have the fear that we're going to lose them. We don't have the faith to hold on to them until marriage. So it'll take fear will take you into some places in relationships, whether marriage, ministry, business, friendship. Fear of can cause you to cross some lines and some borders that you probably never would have thought of out of fear. So, where's your faith in the midst of those situations? So, we are so happy, we're elated that you decided to stop by and hang out with us on tonight. Now, I know there are some people that you may want to give shout outs to. I know you said about the young man with the exercise, but I know there's some people that you want to give shout outs to.
I guess my children, my parents. I've already shouted out the people who are in my community. Everybody knows who it is. If they don't know and they question my love for them, then I don't know what else to say. But I do give a shout out to both of you and ask God to continue to bless you and give you the platform and the reach to the people
Thank you.
that that God has for you. Every fish is not for every fisherman, but for the
That's
fish
it.
who are designated for the pond that you are in and that you cover. May those fish be blessed by the things that you bring to the table.
I
And
love
I
that.
love the fact that you said, and my takeaways from what you said, Pastor, was to do the hard work, continue to do the hard work, date with
That's
that
it.
purpose, right? And have a community who holds you accountable.
That's
I
it.
love the fact that those are the things that we need to uphold, and I do believe that, especially for us in this in time and in this season, we have so much content that we consume, and we hear all these different things and all this stuff. It makes my heart hurt as I
Yeah.
listen to the things that people say, but I'm grateful to be among people who are like yourselves who are really wanting and a lot of the content I will say that is people who are not wanting to create issues, right, or who are not
Hmm.
wanting to see people fail, but they might not, they give advice from a hurting place instead of
Yes.
advice that might be sound. And so I appreciate the fact that you are wanting to give insight and love, because that's what I hear when I'm listening to you guys, is that you're wanting to bestow upon the people God's love for them to truly see themselves and walk in purpose. And so I ask that God continue to expand your reach and your ministry,
Thank you.
and that whatever it is that you might need, that whatever capacity that I can support you in, I ask that God show that and reveal that to both of us so that we can continue the partnership and the journey.
Amen. Thank you
Amen.
so
We
much. We
definitely appreciate
received
it.
that. We definitely received that. Oh my goodness. I am so happy you said yes. I am so happy that your schedule allowed you to come and hang out with us, to share us and bless us with your
Yeah.
presence on tonight. Keep doing what you're doing. As you say, don't change. Whatever direction God gives you to go in, even though it may seem like the little engine that could going up the hill. I
Mhm.
think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there are some people, there are some folk that are attached to your belly, that needs what you have, regardless to struggle, regardless to the fight, regardless to the hardship. On the other side, there's a reward. And I encourage folk of your character or caliber that there are some people that you will speak into their lives, help and bless, that may not ever come back and say thank you.
Mhm.
But I know that with your personality and your heart and your mind, if you'll never say thank you, I know that I did what God told me to do. If you never come back and say, I appreciate the fact
Mhm.
that you helped birth me, that you helped push me, that I'm okay. Because there are some people that
Mhm.
have a hard time saying thank you.
Let's do
And it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. I spoken to a young lady's life. It was like 2, 3 years ago. God told me to say it. I released it and I kept going. Of course, I didn't think anything else of it. Then 2 or 3 years later, she found me on Facebook and she said, I just want to
Mhm.
say thank you. The word that you spoke into my life, I know that was from God because this, and happened and it unfolded and blah, blah, blah. And I say,
Mhm.
to God be all the glory. So sometimes
Yeah.
we never get to hear the testimonies of people that we said or did or helped or encouraged, but we can't stop because there
Mhm.
are others that need the same thing. And we
Mhm.
know not to cast our pearls to swine. You don't want what I
Mhm.
have to offer. I don't have a problem with that. Hey, see you
Yeah.
when I see you.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. The
But
testimony isn't for me, right? The testimony
that's
is
it.
for others to be able to bear witness to the fact that God is real. And
That's
my
it.
prayer is that the testimony is had. And it's
That's it.
I don't gloat over anything because it wasn't me. It's
It
God.
wasn't,
And that's
not from the
the
beginning.
thing that I hold near and dear to.
That's it. That's it. And I love it. Like I say, it has nothing to do with us. We're just vessels and tools that he uses in this journey called life. And we appreciate
Yeah.
him for everything that we went through in our life,
Mhm.
because we realize every day that everything we went through, it never was about us.
Right.
Rejection, hurt, denial, separation. It was never about us. He just knew that he could trust us, that when we went through it, we would be an example that only God can do it in our life. And that's why I appreciate him
Yeah.
and I love God like I do, because he lets us know this, it's not about you. I
Mm.
just need you to go through
Yeah.
this test because somebody else is watching your life,
That's it.
and they need to know that it's me.
We're not only going through the test, but he trusts you to go through the
He
test.
trusts you to go through.
You know,
That's
even
it.
when he had a
Mm.
conversation with Lucifer,
Mm-hmm.
that Job had no account of that there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so when Lucifer
Mm.
went to God and confronted him about him, because Lucifer knew him. See,
Mm-hmm.
his problem that we're having, we don't know who we are, but the enemy
The
does.
enemy knows us.
And so
He
that's the
knows
problem
us.
right there that we're having
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
So we know we're gonna get familiar with our past, because he
Mm-hmm.
can never show you your future. He can
Mm-hmm.
only remind you of your past.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue that we're having.
That's it. That's it. In every book that I wrote, that he gave me to write so far, um, it was what he said to write. It was what he said to document. It was what he said to share. And Lee Pitts interviewed me. He said, you wrote some personal things in your books, yeah, but it wasn't about me. It was for whoever would read that God would change their life,
Mm.
and that they would fall in love with Him more. Was it
Mhm.
personal to me? Did it bother me? No. Did I consult with my husband before I wrote it? Yes, I did. But I consulted with him first because he gave it to me. So when I spoke to my husband, it was already confirmation. Oh yeah, it's okay. Write it, do it. Share it, send it out. So I appreciate him for what
Because
he
my job
does.
as a husband to push her to her destination,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure
Mhm.
that
That's a
she
jewel.
fulfill everything that God has given her as her
Yes.
husband.
Yes.
It is my duty to make sure I'm praying for her. It's my duty to make sure I'm interceding for her and
Mm-hmm.
everything else that I need to do for her,
Mm-hmm.
so that when the time
Mhm.
comes, there will not be any regret on neither one of our sides. If she said the Lord had
Mm.
given her son, what you waiting on?
Do
Do it.
it.
Let's do it.
Mhm.
But I always tell her, go big or go home. We don't
Yep.
do anything small.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Give it your best. It
That's
can't be
it.
Mhm.
like Cain and Abel. You know what I
Right.
mean? When Cain gave his less and Abel gave more,
Uh-huh.
we got to give God our
Gotta
very
get,
best.
gotta get do all things
I love
as if
it.
unto him.
That's it.
That's what I like. So
In the
That's
spirit
it.
of excellence, right?
oh my
That's
God.
it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing with us on tonight, for blessing us tonight with your presence and words of knowledge from him. Um, keep doing what you're doing. Just know we're watching and definitely praying for you and with you in every encounter that you do in life.
And keep lighting them
Thank
rooms up
you.
when you step in them.
I'm trying. Hopefully,
Keep
I'll
doing what
see
you're
you
doing,
guys
my
this
sister.
weekend.
All right. Yes, you will.
You
Yes, you
definitely will.
will. All right. Know that we
Okay,
love you truly.
good.
There's nothing you can do about it. Okay. Have a good
Yes.
one. Good
Bye
night.
bye.